your on-premise identity with the cloud. Now, someone will ask, why would you want to synchronize? You would want to synchronize because before the cloud came, you had your what's the name? You had your on-premise setup, and you are migrating to the cloud. You don't have to start afresh. Your users can be migrated to the cloud, and you can manage them, and you can give them access to resources that are hosted in the cloud, and then also resources that are hosted locally. So and here are some features. Are we okay? So one of the things that you would want to decide is how are you going to manage the authentication? You already have users on the ADDS environment, and you are syncing them to the cloud. Now, when you sync them to the cloud, what if somebody changes his password? How does that work in the cloud environment? So one of the options that you can use is what we call the password hash synchronization. And mostly this is the most popular option and mostly the most recommended option. Password hash synchronization is very simple. What this means is that if a user's password changes, then when you create a password, let's say you have a password called Luis, and then you create it. It is not the Luis that is stored. The Luis is hashed, and then the hash is stored. So what the password hash synchronization is doing is that when you create a password on the on-premise, the hash of the password should be synchronized with the cloud so that your account can be authenticated. So this is a sign-in method that synchronizes a hash of a user's on-premise AD password with the Microsoft Entra. Then we have the pass-through authentication. Now, this method allows users to use the same password on-premise and then in the cloud, but does not require additional infrastructure of a federated environment. So what this means is that you will have to set the same password that you have on-premise also in the cloud. But if the password is hashed, even though you'll be using the same password, it's not like you have to create them separately. But then with this one, you are going to use the same password for the cloud and also for the on-premise. Then we have the federated integration, and this is an optional part of the Microsoft Connect that can be used to configure a hybrid environment using an on-premise Active Directory Federation services. So if your organization has Active Directory Federation services, I think when we're discussing Active Directory, I mentioned Federation services a bit, even though I didn't really touch much on it. So basically, Federation services allows you to provide identity between different platforms. So if I cited an example, like you can go to a website and they tell you log in with Facebook, log in with Google, even though it has nothing to do with Facebook or has nothing to do with Google. That's kind of authentication is a federated authentication. Then we have the synchronization. So basically, this is responsible for creating users, groups, and other objects, as well as making sure identity information for your on-premise users and group is matching in the cloud. So one of the things that the Entra Connect does is that it does synchronization to make sure that whatever you have on-prem is the same thing that you have in the cloud. And then lastly, it allows you to do health monitoring. So you can monitor the health of your on-prem and then cloud relationship to see whether everything is okay. Are they synchronizing? When was the last time that they synchronized? Was the synchronization successful? Was there a failure? What caused the failure? Those kind of things. So you can use your health to check these things. So without much ado, let's just jump in and then see how this also looks like. So I think I'm just going to be working directly in my VM. I'm not going to go into my physical machine, at least the VM is capable of. So we'll go to, you can either go to portal.azure.com. And you can also go to admin.microsoft.com. So once you come to portal.azure.com, you log in. So LGMC at maverickgh.onmicrosoft.com. Then we'll click next. So we have to enter a password, which is my password that I created yesterday. And then we'll sign in. So it's requesting that I enable multi-factor authentication, which I am not going to. But then after 14 days, it will force me to enable multi-factor authentication. So I just say ask me later. And I want to stay signed in. And one thing I've noticed about Microsoft is that sometimes they force you to use their browser for their services. They try to force you to use their browser for their services. So once here, I will click this tab here, and then all these blades here, Microsoft calls them blades. So what I'm looking for is the Entra ID, or formerly known as Azure Active Directory. So if you hear someone say Azure Active Directory, it's the same as the Entra ID. And basically it's, so you see it's the Microsoft Azure Active Directory is now Microsoft Entra ID. All right, so when we come here, we click on the Microsoft Entra Connect. And you know, the cloud is always evolving. So things are changing. These people are doing a whole lot of things. So when we come to Cloud Sync, not Cloud Sync, the one down there, was the name? Where are you? Entra Connect, and then we'll select the Connect Sync. So when we come here, you notice that it says there's never been a synchronization. So make your on-premise resources authentication and configuration on manage your all these things are we okay in the Entra hybrid service. So we want to download the Entra Connect. But it says action required. Synchronization will stop working on October 1st, 2023 for any customer still running Microsoft Entra Connect version 1. I am hoping that whatever Microsoft is providing us here is version 2. All right, so this is version 2, so we are good to go. So I just click download. All right, so it's downloading. All right, so it's done downloading 147 megabytes. So you show in the folder and then you just, but it's funny, they still call it Azure AD Connect. All right. So I think I'm just going to close this and then we watch this one in action. So let's wait for the installation to finish, and then we'll do the configuration. So you can see that the installation is done, and then Azure AD Connect is showing there. Okay, so it says, welcome to Azure AD Connect. Run this installation tool on the server where the synchronization service component will be installed. Azure AD Active Directory Connect integrates your on-premise and then online directories. This installation tool is going to guide us in selecting the solution, install the identity synchronization and other Microsoft software components required for deployment. So enable application telemetry and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to agree, because if we don't agree, we won't continue. Please, when I'm in the full screen mode, I don't see the chat. So just in case, if anyone has a question whatsoever, you just prompt my attention with your voice, because when I'm in the full screen mode, I don't see the chat. Okay.
Well noted.
So we'll click continue. So if you have a single Windows Server Active Directory Forest, we will do the following. Configure synchronization of identities in the current AD Forest of Maverick. So what it has done is that it has scanned our environment, and then it's been able to know that our forest is called Maverick, and it's going to configure password hash synchronization from on-premise to the Azure AD, and then start an initial synchronization. And these are for the express settings. So it's telling us that Maverick the local is not a routable domain. It is recommended to use custom settings to configure user sign-in options. So it's better we go to customize. And then we are going to select all these things. And so it's going to install Microsoft SQL. No, we're not going to use existing. Use an existing SQL server. We don't have an existing SQL server. So we are going to specify an account, and we are going to use our admin account, because we don't have a service account. If not, then we'll have to create an account in there and say that this account should be used for the synchronization purposes. So we'll do Maverick /administrator, and then the password. And then let's look at the sync groups. What do we want to synchronize? Specify. No, we are just going to sync everything. So we are not going to sync custom group, but I think we needed to specify the account that we will use for the authorization. So we'll click install. It's going to download, it's going to use the usual SQL for the system. And I'm sure maybe we shouldn't have used the dot local. Then we would have had more flexible options. But all the same, it's all good. So once this is done, we will do the configuration. Okay. So we now have to do the configuration. And like I said, we are going to use this. And we also enable single sign-on. Single sign-on basically means that you can use one credential to access all the resources. So we'll click next, and then we need to connect to the Azure AD. So I'll use my account lgenfi at Maverick GH dot on Microsoft. Guys, a moment. Hello, Pa. Be me, yes, some small online session. All right, so I had a call. So I'm going to put okay, so dot on Microsoft.com. And I'll put the password. So we'll try to see if you can connect to it. Now, I have to say that what I did there is a very dangerous thing to do, using my admin as the service account. So if you are doing this, make sure that you create an account in AD for the purpose of the synchronization. You can call it AD Connect and then use that for the synchronization and not necessarily your admin account. So please take note of that. Are we okay? All right, so it's asking which directories do we want to synchronize? So we want to synchronize maverick.local. So we just click add directory, and we will need to Again, an AD account with sufficient permission is required for periodic synchronization. AD Connect can create the account for you. Alternatively, you can provide an existing account with the required permission. So we can go with either create the account, but then we would want you to create the account, and then we will just authorize that with our domain credential. So I'm going to go again, Maverick /administrator, and then the password, and then okay. So it's going to examine the environment, and so everything is okay. So from here we'll click next. So it's retrieving the schema information and all that. And then it is checking the Azure AD sign-in configuration to make sure that whatever we put there is okay. And then from there, we can decide which OUs and then objects that we want to synchronize. So one of the things that is required is that you may have to add this domain to the cloud again, but then .local is not routable on the internet. So that is just something that we should take note of. So we can continue. This is select the on-premise attribute to use as the Azure AD name. So we want to use the user principal name. Okay, that's what we want to use, the user principal name. So it will be, if it is Elgenfi, it will be Elgenfi. Are we okay? We good? It says users will not be able to sign into Azure AD on-premise credential if the UN does not match the verified domain. So we just want to continue, even though what we are doing is not right, because we are supposed to have a proper domain that we would have added to the 365 environment, but because of the .local, which is not routable, and so we will not be able to do that unless, let me see if we can find another attribute, username. Let me see if there's anything like username. There's no username, so we just have to go with the user principal name. Let me see if we use name. Let's just stick with the user principal name, and then we'll click next. It's asking us which objects do we want to synchronize. So in this case, we want to synchronize all domains and OUs. Or if you want only a particular OU, you can also do it like that. But we want to synchronize all domains and OUs. So we'll click next. And then uniquely identifying your users. So users are presented only once across all directories, or user identities exist across multiple directories. I think that what's the name? We only have one user across the directories. Each user is one, and then the users are not repeated. So that is okay. And then let's select how users should be identified with Azure ADs. So we can choose a specific attribute, object ID, or phone number, whatever it is, but then we would leave it to Azure to manage this for us. We'll leave it to Azure to manage this for us. So Azure will write back unique source anchors to your on-premise directory if MSDS consistency GUID currently unused by your organization. So basically what this is happening is that Azure also needs to find a way to identify the users. So however Azure is going to identify the users, it is going to come back and tell the server that this is how I am identifying the users. So if I come and I'm requesting for this type of information, it means it is for this particular user. So we just click next. You want to synchronize all users and then devices. You can also decide if you don't want everything to go to the cloud, you can synchronize selected objects, but we want to synchronize everything. So you click next. And again, we want to use password hash synchronization. This is what we want to use. And maybe we can also enable password write back. So it says that by enabling password write back, password changes that originate within the Azure AD will be written back to your on-premise directory. And this is a good thing. We can also add group write back. By enabling group write back, groups configured for write back in Azure AD will be written back to your on-premise directory. There is no Active Directory schema for Exchange in your configuration. We don't use Exchange. We don't have Exchange. And then directory extension attribute sync. When you enable this, when you enable this option, custom directory attributes you specify will be synchronized to the Azure AD. So you can also decide that certain group attributes should be synchronized. These are all options that you can choose from. But I think the password hash and then the password write back are very, very important. And so we can go with that. And then we'll click next. I think my thing is not responding. Let's be gentle with it. But any questions so far? All right, I think we are here. So enter a domain administrator account to configure your on-premise Forex for use with single sign-on. So I can enter the credential. So I'll just say administrator and then put his password and then say okay. I think that the thing is even tired of us. So we just click next and it's going to check for all the components that are supposed to be installed, and afterwards, once everything is okay, we can install. So everything is okay. So we'll just click install. So it's going to configure configuration service on this computer, enable single sign-on, configure source anchor attribute, configure Maverick.com domain AD connector, configure Maverick local connector, enable password hash. And so the things that we selected, and then it will start the initial synchronization. So with this, we can click install, sit back, and then wait for the installation to finish. A moment, please. So just in case you are confused about what is happening, all that we are doing is that we are connecting our on-premise infrastructure to the cloud so that we can manage our users also from the cloud. So that's all that we are trying to achieve. And the tool that allows us to be able to do that is what we call the Azure AD Connect. That is what we have installed and then we have configured and we are running. Okay, so whilst we are waiting for it to finish, how many of us have been able to register for the CC exam? Besides those who have already written, if you've not written it already, have you registered for it? Have you started the process of acquiring that certificate?
Yeah, Louis, I've registered for it and booked the date for the exams. I
Oh,
think
okay.
January.
When?
January.
Now to already.
My year course no, but date now say metro no. Now my busy me emergency man draw it's my reschedule date no.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's no way slot till January.
Oh, okay. Okay. You should though. That exam is almost $200. So it's $200 they are dashing you. And $200 now in this our country is around 20 something million. That's a lot of money. If someone is giving it to you for free, so make an effort and then get that certificate. It's very important.
By January, there you forget the answers or
Is it?
I say by January, forget the answers or
Charlie. You see, those people, their exam be some way. It be grammar, more of grammar. You know, I was invited to come and work on the exam. They have something they call exam workshop, where you suggest what should be in the, like how the exam went and then what should be in the exam and all that. And I didn't register because you have to sign that you won't teach. If you train, you can't do that workshop. And if you do that workshop, you can't train for at least 2 years. And I like teaching, so I didn't go to the workshop. The exam is grammar. It's just like this one that I did last Thursday. It's pure grammar. Like all the answers look like they are all correct.
It's like you look for some keywords and then you're able to answer them.
The keyword is across.
But usually, from my experience, the answers look similar, but there's a keyword that will point you at the right one.
for know the thing and you for understand the English. That be how the my exams. You for know the thing very well. Where you for understand the English too very well. Because The way then
Some of the questions, you go know the thing, but actually, then you go see two answers that are
but
very likely to
but
be
make you
correct.
no follow the my exams then give you for the training. Think say you dey answer that one correct, so you are good to go. That training exams be
It is
different.
come.
It be pure scam.
Oh, but like, I actually use that exam take pass though. Like, I just look at how they were actually expecting the answers to be and all that. That
Yeah.
what I watch where I take rep the exams pass.
Mm.
So in a
Yeah.
way, it's not like you are looking to get similar questions, but like at least seeing how they set the questions and how they expect their answers to be.
Getting to because if you just read keke where you go, actually you go to.
So you guys try. If you've not done it, try and do it. And when I come across other opportunities, I will do my best and then share those opportunities with you guys.
Salut.
Yeah,
Yeah, which course were you talking about?
is that
Which course were you talking about?
certified in cybersecurity from ISC Square.
Okay. I also registered.
Okay, you've done the
Yeah.
course.
No, I've not done it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will do it.
Okay, so I think the installation is done. It says that Azure AD configuration succeeded. The synchronization process has been initiated. The configuration is complete. You can now log into the Azure or Office portal to verify that the user accounts from your local Active Directories have been created. Then do a test sign on to the Azure portal. Then the Active Directory recycle bin is not enabled. So it says they require us to enable the Active Directory recycle bin. You know, Active Directory has a recycle bin. That's when you delete things, like they will have recycle bin that when you delete something, you can find it. The Active Directory also has a recycle bin. So let's see. So when I come to tools and I go to Active Directory Admin Center, that's where you can enable the recycle bin at. So that is one of the things they're asking us to enable. So I'll come to my domain here, and then on the right side, you can see we have enable recycle bin. So you can just enable it, and it's a one-way action. Once you enable it, you cannot disable it. So it is disabled by default. So just click OK. So ADDS has begun enabling the recycle bin for this forest. The recycling bin will not function reliably until all domain controllers in the forest have replicated the recycle bin configuration. So we just say okay. We just have to give it a little time and then it will be there. But then that is it. It's done and the initial configuration is also taking place. So we can just exit and then go to our cloud and go and check whether our users have been synchronized. I'll come here and go to Azure Microsoft Entra ID, and then we'll go to users. And you can see that our users are representing. Right? We can see that our users are representing very, very nicely. So basically, that is how you synchronize your on-premise to the cloud. That's how you synchronize your on-premise to the cloud. And you can see that this was through on-premise synchronization. You can see that this was through on-premise synchronization. And so when we come back to the when we come back here and then we go to the Entra Connect, and then we go to the Connect Sync. I think we need to refresh this. Because it's showing that it has never been connected, but let's check the health to see. Because clearly we can see that we are there. So there are no sync errors. And then you can see that the synchronization is healthy. And once it says it's healthy, that is good. And you can see that it has registered our connector here, DC1. So it means that things are okay. There are no alerts whatsoever. Let's go to the 365 admin center and see what is happening there too. Ask me later. So once we come here to automatically, it says that all these people are represented, but then they have not been licensed. So it means that once we have brought them here, we also have to assign license to them. Once we brought them here, we need to assign license to them. So if like we had what's the name? If like we had a proper domain that we are using, we've confirmed the domain information and everything, then we wouldn't be using the on Microsoft, we'd be using our domain name, maybe at absabank.com.gh, something like that, and then it would be like that. So you just log in wherever you are with it like that. So I just want to add one more thing and then we will wrap up. So how do we join the client machines also to the 365 environment? And before you do that, there are just some one or two things that you need to first ensure that are in place before you join the on-premise device to the cloud. So I'll switch back to the Active Directory Admin Center, and then we'll go to what we call company branding. Company branding. So before you even think of joining any device to the domain, you have to make sure that things are properly done. And you do this under the company branding. To customize the default sign-in experience. When users are logging in, what should happen? Are we okay? So there are quite a number of things that you can do. Let me see if we can get some logo. All right, so there are some nice logos here. So which one can we use? I think this is cool, right? Or this
What of
one?
the second one?
This one. You like
Yeah.
well, if that's okay, then we choose that one. But we want something executive. But this is my. Are we a real estate company? No. If not, we could have chosen the real estate. So we'll stick
Mhm.
with yours.
Well, then let's go with the first one. It looks more professional.
Yeah. I think we
Yeah.
pick the first one. So save us. Mm, So we'll just call it logo. Yeah. So we'll come back here. We want to customize how things would be like when people are logging in. When people are logging in. So I'm coming. Let me go back. I think I don't like what I'm seeing here. Get started. I think that's it. So it means that they've changed the way things look here. So normally you have to provide your organization name and then all those things. So background, color, and then let's see, background image, then layout. All right, then header. All right, so we can put a logo here. The header control has been disabled in layout table and will not appear on the sign-in screen. Enable it to make changes here. Okay, it's been disabled here. So header, okay, so show header. All right, so now that we want to show, at first it was very simple, one page, you put the company name, branding and everything. All right, so layout. So go to the header. So put the logo there, our logo. Downloads. It's too large, so they want it to be 260 by 280 by 60. Wow. All right. So open with Paint. Oh, really? Okay, so first we'll crop it, and then after cropping, we will reduce the size. Okay, so now let's resize the 1 pixel. So this should be 60. Okay, so It's okay. So they want us to have something like this. So we'll just stick with it. All right, so it has picked this one rather. So we'll go to the next, which is footer. So display text. So we can say welcome to Maverick. Let's just do this and then we can click next. So again, sign in from, so select the logo, put it there. We don't have a square logo, whatever. And so I think these are okay. We don't need to really put any of these things here. So we just click next to review and then we just click create. So we just edited the default branding thing. Then the last thing that we want to do is we want to check and make sure that users can actually join devices to the cloud. That users can actually join devices to the cloud. That's the last thing that we want to do. So we'll come to devices. And then we'll go to device settings. So you can see that users may join devices is set to all. So that is okay. That is very, very important. You always have to make sure that this is set to all. Or you can also decide that only selected users can join devices to the cloud service. So I'm going to try to see if we can join our client machine to this and then but there are other ways that you can join the client to the domain. You can, sorry, to the cloud. You can use a group policy to do that, especially if you have a lot of users. Microsoft also has another tool called autopiloting. You can also use the autopilot to also do the bulk join. Hey, let me go and get my laptop charger. Okay, 60%. We'll finish right now, so it's okay. All right, so let me just make sure that this thing can connect to the internet. Okay, so let me quickly check the network settings. Okay. Let me put this as 8. And then King 192.1 King Moss Maverick dot local. Okay, so this machine says you can't communicate with anybody. I'll comment. Yeah. Okay. But the network is not. All right. Let's do this. Any question?
None from me.
No, you're shocked. I know you're not like Joshua.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Joshua also.
Oh, I did. I no go talk anything before them go falsely accuse me again.
uh, all right, so okay, so let's check our network settings again. Okay, so it's reaching our server and let's ping. Okay, so it also has internet access. So that means that we are good. So what I'll do is we go to the settings. And then I think we go to accounts. So you have access, school, or work. Are we okay? So currently we are logged into this. And then we can also connect to Microsoft account. So I can do LGMP at Maverick GH dot on Microsoft.com, and then I'll click next. And sometimes this thing is as simple as when you install Microsoft Office 365 and you log in with your Microsoft account, automatically your Office account is added, or your 365 account is added automatically. So you can see our logo is representing there beautifully. So at least you can see it there. And then you put your password. And then we sign in. And it says, hold on while we register the device with your company and apply policy. So here also, if we have configured any policies in the cloud, automatically once you are logging in with this account, all those policies are going to apply to the device like that, because the policies apply to the user account that you are using to log in. So automatically it's going to apply. So it says you are all set. We've added your account successfully. You now have access to your organization's apps and devices. So we can just click done. So if this account has Office, automatically the user can download the Office and then start using it. And we can deploy softwares directly from the 365 to this system and manage and do whatever we want to do. So on the larger scale, those are some of the magical things that you can do from there on. So we can go here and go and check whether our device is representing. When we go to devices, all devices. So you can see our device here, MVCY01, and then it is a Windows machine, and the person who has logged on to it is Luis, and the joint type is Entra registration. So just like that, and you can check to see the capabilities of the device. So the properties, administrative units, and then all that. But if you really want to do proper device management, you have to use the Intune. So let me just say one word on it and then we will go. So you have mobility, and so you have mobile device management and then mobile application management. You have Microsoft Intune there. When we click on Intune, we just want to check to see whether Intune is enabled for mobile device and then all those things, mobile application. So yes, it's for all. And so it means that that is good. So Intune is for all. So if you want to manage Intune, all that you have to do is go to show all, and then under the admin centers, we have endpoint manager. I think we came here yesterday, endpoint manager, and ask me later. Oh, our logo is represented nicely here. And if we had put a proper background image there, it would have also represented nicely. Let me check how much of my battery is left. Hey, it's 5% remaining. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for me with all the stress in the evenings when you are supposed to be resting after work. And then you have to be in a hurry to come and listen to me. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that we shared this moment together. When my machine goes off, I'll give the closing remark in the group. So Joshua, when my machine goes off, whoever inherits the position as the admin, you end the session for all of us.
Thank you all for
Okay.
joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Nice meeting
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much. Nice meeting you too.
Joshua, Wawari.
Thank you very much.
God
Okay.
bless us all.
Okay, so we'll just have a final discussion in the group. So this is
Alright.
far the graphic.